Hello, we are live from Digital DJ Tips and we're bringing you here on YouTube a look at the XP2 controller from our friends at Pioneer DJ. This is brand new and we're going to take a quick talk through it now, and we are then going to take some of your questions, and after that we're going to get on with making our big review of it. So this is just a little talk through of the features of it, who it's for, what it does, and then get your questions on it. Okay, does that sound good to you? All right then, let's get started. So welcome to the Digital DJ Tips studio with me, Phil, here. We are live only on YouTube for a change. Give you YouTube people a little bit of a heads up on this one. And here I am. That was me over there. Here I am here with the new unit. So this is it. This is the XP2 from Pioneer DJ. And the really interesting thing about this, despite everything else that we're going to talk about, is that it's for Serato and for Rekordbox. They've made a unit that works with both pieces of software, theirs and the most popular one on the market, which is really nice for all you users who've looked at things like the Pioneer 1000. This is the Serato version of the 1000, and said, look, why can't you just make one that works with everything? Well, it looks like they're listening, because this is a unit that does work with everything. So we are here just on YouTube today. We'll be doing this on Facebook a little bit later, but this is an exclusive for you on YouTube. So if you enjoy this, you've just stumbled over it, please do like, follow, share, and so we can let you know when these come live again. And this is live YouTube, people, so if you're watching the replay of this and thinking, get to the point, this is a live show. We're going to be taking comments, we're going to be asking questions, it's going to go on for 15 minutes or so, and the point here is to give people the chance to talk to us about this. If you want to watch the full review, at the time of recording this, we're working on it and it'll be live very soon on this channel. Right, let's get started talking about this. Before we do, I just want to get a couple of early hellos in from you guys and girls over there on YouTube. So lots and lots of buttons for us, says Oobsy. I love your name, by the way, Oobsy Doob Insteimer, who says lots and lots of buttons for us. Ooh, what do those buttons do? Says Miv. You're all very button happy today, aren't you? You want to know all about these buttons. So we will be covering all that stuff in the full review, but also I'll talk you through what it all does now. Let's get back then to the unit. Nice one, says Eoin. Your reviews are great. Well, thank you very much. As I say, let's get back to the unit and have a little closer look at it. So then, this is what we are talking about. It is the DDJ XP2 from Pioneer. This is an accessory controller for Rekordbox and for Serato DJ. Accessory controller means that you plug it in as well as the rest of your gear. So you would use this typically with a DVS system, 2 record decks and a mixer, because it gives you control of all the stuff that you don't get on that setup. In other words, you've got your decks and you've got your mixer when you set up with DVS, but what you haven't got is control over all the pad functions, the hot cues and the slicer and the sampler and all that stuff. What you haven't got is control over your software effects. So that's on here as well. What you haven't got is control over your looping. That's on here as well. What you haven't got is the ability to load tracks to your decks without having to go to your laptop. That's on here as well. And what you haven't got on a DVS system is the ability to control key and sync and slip mode and things like that. So it's basically all the knobs and buttons you would find on a controller in addition to the decks and mixer in one box. And the idea is you can take this along with you, plug in with DVS on CDJs or on record decks or whatever with your laptop, and plug this in as your controller. So this plugs in to your laptop along with your controller or DVS system. So there's 2 leads going off to the laptop. Oops, got to get that camera right, haven't I? There's 2 leads going off to the laptop here. One from this, it's powered through this lead, and one from the controller. So that's what this unit is designed for, as an accessory controller for both Rekordbox and Serato. Let's have a little talk through also why you might want this, even if you are not using DVS. So here I have the DDJ-1000 SRT Serato controller. Now this is a great controller for Serato users who want the kind of Pioneer feel. You've got the big jog wheels, you've got bits and pieces on the mixer which are just like club mixers, the hardware effects and so on. It's really nice. What it hasn't got is any control at all over Serato's software effects. So this unit comes in. Effects Unit 1, Effects Unit 2, Effects Unit 3, Effects Control on a nice slider. So instead of using a knob, you've got a slider for it there. You can hold it or you can just do it momentarily. So this unlocks your Serato effects, which is one of the big criticisms of this DDJ-1000 SRT, that it doesn't unlock Serato effects. But also for controller users with Serato or Rekordbox, you've got 16 pads instead of 8. Now you might say, why would I want 16 pads? Well, you get 16 hot cues in Rekordbox to start with. So if you're a cue junkie, you can use these for your cue play really easily. You can unlock the tone play features, or the keyboard feature as it's called in Rekordbox, in order to play up and down on one of your notes on your track. So you can use it as a, as a keyboard in that way across all 16 pads, which is something you couldn't do before. You can do the same with your roll and your auto loop as well, so you don't have to decide which parameters you have on 8. You can have it spread across all 16. So in Serato, you can also have combinations of 2 sets of pads going on here. So for instance, you could have hot cues at the top, sampler at the bottom, or quite interestingly, you could have your transport controls down here, and then you could have your beat grid controls up here. Now it's got an internal button here for 4 decks, and that means that should there be an issue with your DVS and you have to quickly switch to internal mode, you've got transport controls on these pads as well, so you can carry on DJing just about using this. Now also for Serato, it's got something called silent cue. This basically mutes the deck, but the cue point still works. So you click silent cue on, you get to a cue point and you turn it off and you're ready to go. So it saves you having to touch the faders. Again, it could be used internally should you need to. So there's quite a nice selection of controls over here for anyone, controller users and DVS users, but it is mainly for DVS users. So that's the basis of the unit. The price of the unit is £299, €329. You might see £229 quoted in various places due to an error on the press release we got. I checked with them, it is £299. So it's going to be around $300 as well, I would guess, for this unit. Okay, so versus the XP1, which is the one that came before it. There's really very little difference other than the fact it's got a very good mapping for Serato, and Serato has altered its software to work with it. That's what you're getting here. You're getting the ability for it to just plug and play with Serato. Now, to be clear, you need to use it with an authorized Serato accessory with an audio interface in. You can't just plug this into your laptop. It won't unlock Serato without that, which means a Serato-enabled mixer with DVS or a Serato controller. So just to be clear about that. But once you've got that, it's all mapped. It all works really well out of the box with Serato. But really very few differences over the XP1 apart from that. They've altered the loop controls very slightly, so they're a little bit more like the ones on the Pioneer S9 mixer, which will be something that certain DVS users will be pretty happy with. But basically, you're getting Serato compatibility. That's the thing here. Now, if you want to use it with Rekordbox, the license is in the box, which is nice, a bit of a saving for you there. By the way, the stand I've got this on is actually a little stand I got from Reloop a few years ago. To put it there, but Pioneer has got a stand that they've made for this as well, which you can get. So let's go back to what you guys and girls have got to say about this unit. So here we go, lots and lots of comments to go through. We always need more pads, says the Jimbo Returns. Yes, we do always need more pads, that's for certain. Paul says, I'm a Tractor user. Well, you'll be able to map this to Tractor. Tractor has got pretty good mapping, so someone will come up with that, I'm sure. B. Hoy David says, do you really need this if you've got a controller, as you have all the pad functionality on your controller? Well, you get 16 pads on this unit, so you've got more control over keyboard, like pitch play. You've got more control over your loop rolls and your loops. But no, you don't need it if you've got a controller. But remember, if you're a Serato user and you're using a DDJ-1000, then you're going to get the control over your software effects there as well. But then if you're using DVS with a very simple mix, I mean, a lot of people use DVS with an old pair of turntables and a mixer like this one, you know, the old, just an old analog mixer, just with an audio interface. Well, you're not going to get any pads on there, you're not going to get any transport controls on there, or any effects controls. It's going to give you all of that stuff. I'm going to put that lovely old Technics mixer back on display in our studio and come back to you here. So yeah, you don't need it, B-Hoy David, but it's certainly a nice thing to have. It looks like the limited functionality. Okay, so okay, more questions here then. Can I only use it with a laptop? I don't want to bring my other heavy equipment to smaller gigs. Yes, you can, because it's got transport controls in it. It hasn't got pitch control, so you wouldn't really want to use it with just a laptop. I mean, it's possible to. It's possible to use anything. It's possible to use just a laptop, right? You can map the laptop to control your software if you want to, but I wouldn't say it'd be an awful lot of fun doing it that way. Song Leon. So Camels says the XP1 has limited functionality when connected to an XDJ-1000 Mark II. Does it do absolutely nothing when plugged in without a laptop? Yes, it's designed to work with a laptop. It's a controller. All right then, so more of your questions coming in live. Thanks again for doing this. It's 3:35 a.m. here. Yeah, we know, we thought we'd go live early because it's just come out and it's interesting. It's timely. Looks like something that would even be usable in a digital audio workstation, says Martin. Yes, it would indeed. By the way, if you've just joined us, we're talking about the controller you can see here, the Pioneer DDJ-XP2, which has just launched this second. So we're taking all your questions on it, and we're going to be live on Facebook in a minute doing the same thing as well. So if you missed the beginning of this, go catch us over on our Facebook page. But meanwhile, let's just finish off some more of your questions here on YouTube. Necessary, says Ice Crim DJ. I don't think it's really necessary if you have a controller with pads. No, it's not necessary. That's sure, we've kind of covered that one. I just use DVS with a laptop and a mixer in a small club. It might be interesting if it could work with just that. Yes, it does work with just that. And that's the idea. Hello to everyone in Asia and Australasia who is tuning in because you often don't get the chance to because of the time of this. So hi to John in Singapore. We've always appreciated your input, John, around the site. So good to have you here on a live broadcast. Keeping It Real is giving the thumbs up for this kind of controller, saying I have the XP1. And yes, it is a great addition. Do I need a double USB connection, says Then Jimbo Returns. Yes, you do. So you will need to you'll need two USBs on your laptop to plug this in. I got home from work and saw Pioneer release something new. That's always nice, says Buddy Fresh. All right then, we're just going to have, if you've just joined us, we're live here on YouTube with a look at the new Pioneer DDJ-XP2 controller. We're going to have one final talk through this controller and what it is, and then I'm going to get out of here, head over to Facebook and do the same thing over there. So back to the unit itself, and here we are at the Digital DJ Tips main desk. This is it. It's the Pioneer DDJ-XP2. It's just been launched within the last half hour, and we've had a chance to have a little look at it. We haven't plugged it in and got it all working with the software yet. We have to update our software for it to work. We'll be doing that later and bringing you a full review of it. But for now, let's have a little talk through what we've got here. It's an accessory controller for Rekordbox and for Serato DJ. Yes, you heard right. It plays nice with Serato as well. It's aimed at DVS users, but it is also going to be useful for people using controllers who want extra pads, or if you're using a controller like the DDJ-1000 SRT for Serato, which doesn't have software controls, remember, for your effects at all, control for your software effects at all, well, you've got control for your Serato software effects here. 1, 2, and 3, plus a parameter control for wet, dry, and a hold for this as well. So you've got some decent control over your Serato effects for the first time. So also for software users, why would you use this with the controller? Well, you get 16 pads, and for DVS users, of course, you get 16 pads instead of 8. So that means you can control 16 hot cues in Rekordbox. Also means you can use them for pitch play without having to shift the parameter across 16 different notes. It means you can use them for roll and auto loop, again, without having to decide which you're going to have it set to and which you're going to have to reach with a parameter. So a little bit easier there. In Serato, you can have, say, hot cues and sampler across this, or you can have slicer and sampler, so 8 and 8. But also, interestingly, you can have the transport controls and the beat gridding controls in Serato. You can also unlock transport controls here in Rekordbox. And that means that if you're DJing with DVS and you need to switch to internal mode, then you've got the chance to do that and then carry on DJing while you sort it out using transport controls here, which is nice. It's got key shift and key sync controls here. It's got loading for your library. So a really good addition if you're using a basic mixer. The loop controls are now a little bit more like they are on the DJ-MS9 for all you DJ-MS9 users who didn't like the looping controls on here. But practically, this thing is the same as the XP1, except that big difference, it is now officially mapped and working with Serato with improvements in Serato software to utilize all the pads and functions on here. Marginal improvements for Rekordbox users, big improvements, as in it now works officially with Serato for Serato users. Price, $299 UK, $329 in Europe. and I'm going to guess around 300 in the States. We haven't double checked that yet. What else can I tell you about this? I reckon we've probably covered it all. There is a news piece on Digital DJ Tips with the official videos, and we'll have this video in as well very soon, and we'll be publishing our full review of this very soon as well when we've got the software powered up and had time to do some demoing and work out how it all works. But meanwhile, just to end off with, we're talking about the XP2 from Pioneer for Serato and Rekordbox. To end off with, we're just going to go back and take a few more of your comments coming in live. So I believe you need the DVS license for Serato DJ Pro to use. It says Buddy Fresh. That is completely correct. You do need the DVS license. You also need some Serato hardware. $299 confirmed by John in the US, so thank you very much. I really like this live format. You're welcome. We like it as well. It takes a bit of setting up, but it's all good fun. All right then. Do you recommend the XP2 for normal gigs or just for pro sets? Well, look, if you think you can find this useful, definitely get it. I mean, if you're into pitch play, for instance, I think it's awesome. You know, you don't need to be a professional to use this kind of gear. It's just whether you find it adds to your creativity. Has it got the same functions from the DDJ-1000, or does it add new ones? Definitely adds new ones. So for Serato, you're adding control of your software effects, and indeed for Rekordbox. But also you've got more pads on there as well, and you've got the ability to use silent cue, which allows you to just mute the track and then use cue points and unmute it, so you don't have to go to the faders to mute the track. Little bits and pieces. It's certainly an optional extra if you've got a controller, but it makes a lot more sense if you're using it with DVS, of course, because you've got the library loading there, and you've got, you know, some pads, because DVS users generally don't have them unless they're using a controller-enabled mixer and so on. And finally, Jude's asking how much. Around £300, dollars, euros. Is the price of this, Jude. Right, we are getting out of here. One final look at this. It's the new DDJ-XP2 from Pioneer DJ. This has been a live presentation here on the YouTube channel of Digital DJ Tips. If you've enjoyed this, please do subscribe to the channel, share this with your friends, like it wherever you see it, and head over to Digital DJ Tips and subscribe with the link below so we can bring you more stuff like this. But meanwhile, from Digital DJ Tips HQ, get good, get out there, make the moments. The Pioneer DDJ-XP2 just launched.